In a lonely and far distant castle lives old Count Nosferatutu, devoid of much fuss or bother, without any huge ballyhoo. In the town the people keep asking if Nosferatutu sleeps in a casket. It is an interesting question, not that I would want to ask it. Other folk have been known to suggest that he sleeps in a box full of dirt, all the way through any long day whilst wearing his second best shirt. They say he's got no reflection, that in a mirror he sees no face, no eyes staring right back at him. Of his spots he sees not a trace. And of course it is really quite true that sometimes he sleeps all the day, but you might do the same yourself if you were bothered by every sun ray. About this you should simply not worry. Nosferatutu just dislikes the sun. It seems night-time must always have fallen if he wants to head out for some fun. But at night he sits on a tower top, all alone with no friends but his bats, wondering about what he ought to do and whether he should wear a hat. He blows dust from the crown of his topper, considers his deerstalker with flaps, a sun hat, a fez, or a bowler, or maybe try on his old school cap. In the days back when he went to school, he used to have a little friend or two. They would laugh and call him Nozzy, and his mum used to call him that too. It was his dad who gave him that long name, a tradition from times now long gone. Some days young Nozzy would lie in bed wide awake, wondering what became of Nosferatutu 1. His parents both refused to answer this big question whenever he'd ask it. It's hard to live up to a brother that's gone, especially when your dad blows a gasket. So he spent all those years just not knowing what became of that more favoured son, didn't dare bring it up when 3 became 2, lost his chance when those 2 became 1. Now he sits atop his dark lonely castle, after becoming Count Nosferatutu, his life devoid of much fuss or bother, still without any real ballyhoo. Despite having a fearsome visage, Nozzy's really not all that brave. Mostly he prefers to be all on his own, warming soup in a small microwave. Some ask, what does Nosferatutu eat? This can worry many a dad and mam. On the whole, tomato soup and ketchup, and of course strawberry jam. As he waits for his soup to warm up, and for the oven's timer to go ding, Nozzy's mind sometimes will just drift off, with thoughts of spine-tingling things. Dreamily he dreams dreams of excitement, all those wild times that he sometimes craves, of loud discotheques and bright dance halls, nightclubs and wild crazy raves. His legs are so made for dancing, though he doesn't quite know that yet. One day he'll borrow some boogie tights from a ballerina he's not yet met. He's always dressed to go dancing in a bright pink taffeta tutu he was given as a child by his mother, who it's claimed knew quite a thing or two. Suddenly his warm dream is broken, as ping goes his microwave's bell. Then he sits and he eats his soup all alone, and tells himself that all is well. Whenever he feels far too lonely, Nosferatutu goes out at night, to a cafe where nobody knows him. Whenever he fancies an eat to bite, he sat down in his usual corner, took a glance at the nighttime menu, asked for a tall glass of tomato juice, some soup and a jam scone or 2. At the cafe he was served by a young girl, a waitress we should probably call Ellen. Her eyes seemed to be just as lonely as his, and her neck looked as sweet as a melon. Over juice drinks they started to get talking. She claimed to be a ballerina fair. Customers started looking at them fondly, thinking they made a rather sweet pair. Nozzy told her his name rather shyly, which for him was quite a breakthrough. "I really like your tutu," giggled Ellen. He replied, "I like your tutu too." They chatted for hours in the cafe, as all the rest drifted off into the night. Nozzy learned Ellen gave up on dancing because the pay meant that money was tight. Ellen asked if he wanted to go dancing. It was as if she'd seen into his dreams, but Nozzy was still very frightened and ordered a round of ice creams. He told her he'd never been dancing, despite really wanting to quite a lot. He worries what others might think of him, if his long legs make him look like a clot. Then Ellen, she really surprised him. Behind the counter she kept a spare pair of her own favourite sets of dancing tights. If he liked, he could borrow them to wear. When she locked up the cafe to go home, her new friend asked if he might tag along, keep her safe on her short nighttime journey, make sure that nothing could go wrong. As they were walking, they rounded a corner, saw a loud building with lots of bright lights. But the sun started to creep over the rooftops, and Nosy ran back to his castle in fright. Ellen stood a while all confused and upset, before stomping into the disco right then. All alone she danced the small hours away, until she met a nice lad who was called Ken. And far, far away on a distant tower top, Nosy keeps on practising his dancing, with a set of borrowed boogieing tights, in a manner that's rather enchanting. Until distracted one surprising sunrise, he simply vanished in a small puff of smoke, which was, of course, you must realise, some magician's enormous bad joke.